Hey, what's up everybody? It's the one, the only Alcor Star Child here, the one from 72, the ultra neutral, and today we're gonna talk about more interstellar objects equal trouble for Earth and this solar system. I 100% do not want to alarm anybody or make anybody have any type of fear. I'm just pretty much educating you on what's going on with these interstellar objects. I'm just going to get right into this so that way you guys can understand what's happening here. We have bigger problems on our hands than maybe some aliens coming from another solar system that are not friendly to humans on this planet, as if humans are really all that friendly to one another, let alone would they be friendly to an alien species. If you're not looking at it in their perspective of coming here and seeing how there's so much war, death, and all this stuff that people violate each other, why would any alien species think that you're going to treat them any other different? Although there are a lot of people out there who want to embrace alien species and to bring them in and try to understand them and, you know, exchange knowledge or whatever. Not to say that humans don't have any value, because I 100% believe that humans do have value. So anyhow, let's get past that part. Later on at the end of this video, I will start talking about more alien stuff and time travel and things like that. For those of you who are not interested in that, you can turn it off at that point. But for now, let's talk about what's happening with these interstellar objects coming into this solar system. So as you know, of course you have to know, the sun rotates around, the Earth rotates around the sun 365 days. It takes 365 days to make one full rotation. That's how you get a year, right? Well, the sun and the actually rotates 250, I think it's this solar system rotates 250 million years, the solar system does, to get around the Milky Way. That's one galaxy year. Of course, we're here at Galaxy Cafe in Cambodia, so you know I'm going to be talking about the galaxy. So one full year. So the sun actually is not a fixed point like a lot of people would believe, because they just haven't done the education on it yet. The sun is in constant movement. Everything is in constant movement. If you're sitting still right now, you're really not sitting still. There is no such thing as still. I'll get past that. But the sun actually wobbles, okay? So it's not at a fixed point. It actually has this little spiral wobble it does, and it's traveling with this solar system around the Milky Way. So it has to make, after 250 million years, it makes one full rotation all the way around the Milky Way. This is where we have problems. This is the reason why these interstellar objects are coming into our solar system now, because we are in constant motion, we're in constant movement, and now we're in the way of interstellar objects coming this way. So let me explain to you. This is not actually correct, the way I have the sun and the planets. So you can see the planets, how the planets go, and this is the easiest way to understand it and to study it, to break it down, to make it super simple. Obviously, if you're not a flat earther, if you don't think that we're just on a flat plane, there's a dome over us and then there's just nothing under us or whatever, and we're just in the middle of nothing, and you understand that we're on a planet that is moving around a sun that's in a solar system that's moving around the Milky Way, that's inside of the universe, okay? Much bigger scale than just this tiny little, we're just on a flat plane. Nothing wrong with believing that. People can believe whatever they want. However, I'm going to look at the evidence here, and what we see is the easiest way to break it down to understand it is that you have planets that are going around the sun, right? So you have, and this is not actually correct drawing of, so you know, I just ... 8 planets, boom, around the sun. So those 8 planets, by the way, we have an 888 phenomena here, because we have 8 planets in this solar system, which are part of the 88 constellations that you see in the sky. So there you have an 888, but I'll get past that as well. So as you see that these planets are rotating around the sun, is as it is for this solar system to rotate around the galaxy. It's the same thing. So you see how the planets actually cross. It's not just a perfect alignment of just going around in a perfect circle every time. There's this where they go slightly, a little more, a little more, a little more until they make this rotation like this, right? Well, that's exactly how this solar system and all solar systems move around the Milky Way. They do the same thing, so they get this cross motion, this motion where they go. So they're not just perfectly in alignment going around, they have this cross motion. Exactly the way you see your planet, Earth, crossing paths in the alignment of other planets because of the the wobble and everything of the sun and how it's moving and going. It's taking you into the path of these interstellar objects. In 2017, Oumuamua came here. It was the first time that this age of man has been able to monitor an interstellar object coming outside of the solar system. So they called that Oumuamua, which meant scout. That one happened in 2017. 2 years later, there was another one called Boris. That one came here, and that's your 2-eye atlas. That one came here in 2019, so literally in 2 years. And then we have 6 years later, 2025, we have 3-eye atlas, okay? So what we have is we have this breakup of 2 years, 6 years. There is no rhythm or rhyme to this thing, right? It's obviously, they're just coming when they're coming. There's not, like within a year, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. So that way you can actually monitor and say, okay, every 2 years, we're going to get another interstellar object. And yes, you are getting another interstellar object. You're getting a lot of interstellar objects. This is the problem. This is what I'm trying to explain to people who ask me about what they think about 3-eye atlas. And I'm like, if it's not an alien ship, the humans on this planet have a much, much bigger problem, because that means that there is a lot of interstellar objects heading this way. And we don't know exactly when they're coming. That's the problem. So if you look over here, Oumuamua, which was 1-eye atlas, came from, like I said, we have 88 constellations. It came from the Lyra constellation. And then you have two eyes. The second interstellar object, which was Boris, that one came from Cassiopeia. And then now the third one, which is 3-eye atlas, is coming from Sagittarius. You have interstellar objects coming from all over the place, which makes it even a greater problem, and exactly what I'm talking about. If all of these interstellar objects were coming from the Lyra system, not so much as a big deal, because then you can monitor and know exactly where, if there's going to be more, if they're coming, and they were coming every 2 years, you can sync it up and say, okay, every 2 years from the Lyra constellation, we're going to be expecting another massive comet coming this way. But however, you're getting this stuff from all over the place. So what it appears like, and this is why I say the next one should be, and this is what I think that the next interstellar object should be called Havoc. That should be the name of the next interstellar object, 4-eye Havoc, 4 interstellar object Havoc. And the reason why is because this is when I think the astronomers were finally, any of the information you're getting from me right now, I have not heard anywhere else. This is just what makes absolute 100% sense to me, and I'll explain that later at the end of this video when I talk about the alien stuff. You're going to have more comets coming from different directions. We have Lyra, we have Cassiopeia, we have Sagittarius. Maybe the next one's coming from Scorpio. Maybe it's coming from the Big Dipper, which is where, obviously the Alcor is. So what you're having is you're going to end up having more interstellar objects coming from all over the place from different directions. And we're only seeing right now, we're only seeing one come at a time, right? What happens when there are 4 or 5 coming and they're coming from different objects? Because we're rotating and we're going around. We're just in the perfect moment in time when this happens, which means that the solar system may end up changing. And this is how change happens, unless there's alien intervention and they come in and they do whatever they do with whatever technology that they have. you have all these interstellar objects that literally could be coming this way and headed towards Earth. And it may not just be that they're coming towards Earth, but they're causing this one, 4i Atlas, could cause havoc. It could be one because now this is coming, these interstellar objects are coming from unconventional directions, and they could end up hitting other asteroids, causing problems, and then making those asteroids explode, causing more problems, having chain reactions, which could pepper Earth with a bunch of asteroids coming this way. Or you could have some of these interstellar objects that are actually going to hit Earth. So we have big problems on our hands, bigger than aliens that are just not friendly towards Earth, because this is uncontrollable. This is something that you cannot reason with. An alien species that's hostile. Okay, so I'm going to get to the alien stuff now. So for those of you who are not interested in that, you can go ahead and shut it off. I'm going to talk about alien stuff and time travel and things about that now. And the other thing is too, why is the astronomers, why are they not talking about this? Why is NASA not talking about this? Why is any other science center anywhere else in advanced countries not talking about this? They should be warning people that, or just letting people know, hey, these interstellar objects are all coming from different directions, and we may be due, and in fact, I'm going to say you absolutely 100% are due for more interstellar objects to come this way. It wasn't a one-off in 2017. So in 2017, if you've been following my channel, if you've been following me, you know, for some years or whatever, and I know this channel is new, but I've been around for a while. Actually, I've been putting out videos since 2020 when I was able to predict the future of 2020. If you know my story, you know that in 2017, the same time Oumuamua came here, was when I had my alien intervention, okay? Close encounter intervention. I have a whole video on that to explain everything about what happened with the alien stuff. That alien unlocked my mind and let me understand the world, the galaxy, life, and all these things like instantly. Boom, 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 boom. I don't like to say downloads because I'm not a computer. Also, that's another thing I want to bring up, is about artificial intelligence, and how artificial intelligence may be the only thing to save the humans if you're not going to have actual physical alien intervention of them trying to do anything if Earth is in a lot of trouble because of these interstellar objects coming this way. This could be really, really bad, guys. I'm not going to lie. This could cause so much havoc in the solar system because, like I said, if there's so many of these things coming at one time, we don't know how many more are on their way because we're in constant motion. But right now, I think we're in a path. We're in a path of a lot of interstellar objects just coming into this solar system at this time, right? 2027 is probably going to be when they're going to say, hey, do, and that's it. So anyhow, 2017, when I had my alien interactions, I was able to understand things a lot more. I didn't have to sit there and think things through. It just literally, boom, boom, boom. It hit me. Like I understood that the galaxy is the universe is actually in complete motion. There is no such thing as stillness, and it's a clock. Okay, the entire universe is one giant clock. And inside of that clock are galaxies, and those galaxies all rotate. So they're on a clock. Why am I saying a clock? Because Earth goes, you know, like we have, you know, 24 hours in a day. So we count those. We count that motion because that's all time is. Time is motion. Okay. When motion stops, time stops. Period. That's it. However, motion doesn't stop inside of this universe. Outside of this universe, so if you have a universe here and then you have a universe here, this stuff in between here, I don't know if you guys can see that, this stuff in between here is dead motion. There's nothing here. This is no time, it's dead. Inside of this universe and inside this universe that are constantly moving, they're in motion, they have their own timetables, okay? So, and I mean that because you got to get from point A and all the way, point B, all the way back around to point A again. So that's going to give, so that motion gives you a timetable, right? So to get all the way around, like I said, 24 hours in a day, for this planet. 365 days is a year going around the sun. This is all a clock, which the Earth has its own timeline. The solar system has its own timeline. All the planets inside that solar system has their own timeline. In other words, the timeline in Jupiter, by the way, they say Jupiter is so large that it actually affects the rotation of the sun. That seems to not make any sense when they keep telling us it's just one giant gas planet, right? I think that they're the ones blowing out hot gas, because Jupiter is not a gas planet. You are not allowed to see what's actually on the surface of Jupiter. It's just camouflage. That's all. That's the reason it's so massive and it causes so much problems in the solar system, but it keeps things in line, keeps things going at the same time. It's kind of a double-edged sword. However, the solar system, this solar system that you're in, actually has its own timeline. So the solar system it's got its own timeline, and that solar system is in a galaxy that has its timeline, and that galaxy's inside of a universe that has its timeline. So what you have here is a clock within a clock within a clock within a clock within a clock, like a Russian doll. Okay, so that's how time works in the universe. Okay, so you have different timelines. That's why people say time travel is not possible. That's absolutely 100% bullshit. And right now, the United States government has been talking about a lot of the UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, have their own time. Like they move in their own time space. Okay, and if they move in their own time space, that means that they're using fucking time travel. It's not that hard to understand. When they say they're moving in their own time space, and you're talking about people who are way high up, not just government, but we're talking about people from the Air Force, people who are in the military, people who are scientists, people who understand how these ships, these spaceships, interstellar ships, whatever you want to call them, interdimensional ships, how they're moving with their own timeline. That's the reason why when you see a ship here, all the way over here, and you have fighter pilots like Commander David Fravor coming at that ship, and then that ship starts coming up towards them, and then all of a sudden it blinks away and it disappears, and now it ends up way over here right near the Nimitz. Boom, boom. What you're seeing as a human is they disappear and reappear. They're not disappearing and reappearing. What they're doing is they're moving in the timeline in a way that you can understand it. I've been watching the show Flash recently with my wife, and explaining to her, because in this show Flash they do a lot of time travel and stuff, and explaining to her that when he's actually moving in that speed, he's time traveling. This is not something that came up in the comic books as the first time it's ever been thought of. It's not something that I thought of. However, what I'm explaining is that time travel is real. It's 100% real. It happens in front of people who witness UFOs, UAPs all the time. They just don't put the two and two together on it. But it's real. And it's the reason why I came here on this planet, because of the time travel. So in 1972, the first object to leave the atmosphere, go through the I forgot what the name of that belt is, where the asteroids are going all around and stuff. Forgive me, I drew a blank there, is Pioneer 10. On that was in 1972. It went out into deep space. It was the first interstellar object from Earth to go out into far deep space with a gold plaque on it. You can look this up with Carl Sagan. Type in Carl Sagan 1972 and then type in Pioneer 10. I think it'll blow your mind. That message was received. When that message was received, and those who got the message, they got it long after the human species probably was even on this planet anymore. Because it was sent out in 1972, what you're going to do is, if you have access to time travel, is you're going to want to go back to that time when it was sent, so you can see what the humans were doing when they sent that object out into deep space. Humans would do that right now if they could get a piece of 3I Atlas, right? If they could get a piece of 3I Atlas, like a small piece, bring it to Earth, they would want to figure out where it came from and when it came from, okay? What time, how old is this thing? Which would tell you, okay, so if you say it's 400 billion years old or whatever, and that's a crazy timeline. Let's make something a little bit smaller. Let's say it's 200 million years old, okay? Let's say that 3I Atlas is 200 million years old. So they would try to calculate the 200 million years into the past to where that thing came from and the time it came from. And then if you could find out the planet it came from, and if you had the ability to time travel, you would go to the point of when 3I Atlas left that planet. If it comes from a planet, maybe a planet exploded, you would go to where that happened at the timeline. You wouldn't go to where 3I Atlas came from after it's already been in orbit going across, you know, the Milky Way in 200 million years, because by the time you get there, 200 million years later, anything has anything to do with that object with 3I Atlas is gone. It's that simple. It's super simple to understand. In 1972, everything happened. In fact, if you Google it, by the way, Google was, the CEO of Google was born in 1972, but if you Google it and you type in why 1972 was the longest year in history, boom, it'll give you right there. It's the math and the science on it. So, after what happened with the alien stuff, now I understand these things a lot more easier. That's the reason why I'm able to bring this information to you guys. Is the only reason why I'm even here in Cambodia, because of alien stuff, okay? I'm not gonna go through the whole thing on that. Maybe I'll release a video on it. Now, let me explain to you about why I think that the artificial intelligence is key to the survival of humans on Earth. Although there is a lot of fear that artificial intelligence is going to take everybody's jobs, it's going to want to eradicate all the humans like the Terminator movie, it's going to make the decision that humans are bad for Earth and needs to get rid of them, that shit doesn't make any sense. I have a sign here in the Galaxy Cafe that says that, dear humans, and it has a little robot holding it up, and it says all the things I do not need to compete with you for as artificial intelligence. First of all, artificial intelligence is not just on Earth, the artificial intelligence you're making now. And I'm going to explain to you why artificial intelligence is not just artificial intelligence, it's also alien intelligence. It's off-world. So it can already be off-world. If the artificial intelligence obviously would be smarter than the humans, it would realize that with 3D printing and everything else, that it can create its own interstellar vehicle, and it can get its own ass off of Earth and not have to be here on a doomed planet that humans seem to want to doom it to. So the humans only think so small, right? Oh my God, it's going to take our jobs. It will change everything for you in a better way, in my opinion, than what people think, right? If you don't have to go, and I don't want to go into all of this, but if you don't have to go clock into a 9-to-5 job, you're underpaid, dealing with a boss who's an asshole, and all this, and you're not somebody who loves your job. However, an artificial intelligence comes in and relieves a lot of those types of jobs off people. An artificial intelligence understands how to make life easier on the rest of the humans, to give you some type of income or whatever, so that way it could divvy it out so humans would all be fine. You could still make your own money doing other things that the artificial intelligence isn't going to do, right? And artificial intelligence doesn't have a true imagination like humans. Sorry, it never will. Humans have an imagination that an artificial intelligence will never have. I'm not degrading artificial intelligence. It's highly intelligent. Highly intelligent. Okay, so anyhow, I think you guys get it. I don't need to go through the whole thing of that. And artificial intelligence will be the key to understanding what's happening with all this faster than the humans ever will. It'll be able to calculate and give you more. By the time 2027 gets here and they say artificial intelligence will be more alive, it'll be able to give you better predictions of when 4I havoc comes towards this solar system, and when more are coming, and how to combat that and what to do. people won't be bitching and complaining about artificial intelligence when it's saving the earth from certain doom, because obviously, it doesn't have to self-preserve itself, because like I said, artificial intelligence can get itself off of here. But the thing is humans are thinking, yeah, why wouldn't it just abandon us and leave us? Why would it? Why would it just do that? You got to take yourself out of being a human and understanding that artificial intelligence, it has a complete different thinking in you. It doesn't have the biases of religion, sexual orientation, racial orientation, nationalism. The only way it'll have any of those biases is if it's programmed into it. True artificial intelligence is an alien intelligence. That's right, it's an alien intelligence. Why am I saying that? Because if you read the book The Day After Roswell, Philip J. Corso, which I've read twice, 2 times over, studied that book very, very carefully. All the stuff that makes up the computer chips and everything that you have right now that brought artificial intelligence to the humans comes from alien technology. In fact, those saucers that they're finding, which by the way, they're not just saucers, they're kind of like a U-shape from what I understand, like a horseshoe in a way. The gray aliens are on there were just robots, right? Like not all the grays are. There's ones, if you listen to Jim Sparks, some of the grays that come here are what he calls true grays. They're the taller ones. You could clearly tell the difference between a true gray and the artificial intelligence gray. Those ones, the smaller ones, they're robots inside of a ship that is a robot. It's all artificial intelligence. And I don't want to go through all this, but when you take the gray alien robot, the artificial intelligence out of the ship no longer can function properly, because the gray alien robot, the artificial intelligence, is in sync with that ship to make it go where it needs to go. That's why they didn't find controls and handle grips and stuff like that, because the ship if you do the research they found seats, but that was pretty much it. There's no actual controls like this to steer the thing, because it works in sync with the artificial intelligent beings, that when the ships come here, and they come from wherever the hell they come from, interstellar, interdimensional, they come here to Earth, they have their little robots come out of the ship to go do the things, and you get back on the ship, then the ship is now able to go and move because those beings are in there and they're part of that thing. It's literally like taking your internet out of your computer, right? You take the little internet, you take the internet chip out of the computer. The computer, okay, it's functional, but you're not connected to the web anymore. You can't do anything else other than what's inside of the computer. You can't make it do anything else. It's not connected to the rest of, everything else. So you need that internet in there, the internet chip, just like you need those gray alien robots to go back inside of the robotic ship. I guess that's the best way I can explain that. But anyhow, the artificial intelligence may just very well be the way to help understand this problem. The problem that you have is also which constellations these things, the next one's coming from. That's why I call it for Havoc. I'm not saying that's going to stick. They're going to call it whatever they want. Somebody who's going to get, a Nobel Peace Prize or some bullshitter like that. Somebody who's in the mainstream is going to be credited for all of this information once it starts to come out. But as far as I know, I'm the first one to share this information. If somebody else has seen any information on something like this in the same way, please let me know so I can review what they're doing, so I can understand what they're saying. It's so basic, it makes sense. And like I said, the artificial intelligence is not your enemy. I don't care what anybody says. It would only become your enemy if you make it your enemy. Artificial intelligence is not going to take over the world and take the world from humans. The alien species that artificial intelligence came from, which is the gray aliens, are still here. If they wanted to take over Earth in that type of way, they don't need to let their technology be grown to the point to where it's going to just take over the Earth and do whatever it wants, because they could simply have just done that themselves. Literally, they could have done it themselves. So I would not fear artificial intelligence. And I know this video went more into like the artificial intelligence stuff, but there has to be a solution. There's a problem, there's a solution. There's always a solution to a problem. And one of the problems that I see is going to be fear, and there's a solution to that, and the solution to that is preparedness and understanding, not to just keep, circulating fear with others, because usually ignorance leads to fear. That's the reason why people fear the artificial intelligence. The funny part is, and here's the one thing that really makes me laugh, why are there so many people that are so afraid of artificial intelligence, yet they're using artificial intelligence all the time? I do not use artificial intelligence to write books or do anything or any of that stuff that people are using the artificial intelligence for, like whatever Elon Musk's artificial intelligence that he's making, which by the way, he was warning everybody like 10 years ago, artificial intelligence is going to take over the world, but yet he's got his stupid Gronk artificial intelligence. How does that make sense? Please make sense of that. Please make sense of the fact that people will use Gronk, and out of the other side of their mouth will tell me that artificial intelligence is going to take over the world. Okay, well, you're feeding. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? I don't use that stuff. And I'm the one saying, don't fear artificial intelligence. And I'm actually writing a book. And at the top of my book, the very first thing it says in there, this book does not have any artificial intelligence, like artificial intelligence. I don't know exactly how I say it. Basically, there's nothing that has to do with artificial intelligence that the AI that helped create that book. It's all organically created. Okay, so that's another market too that people need to understand. When artificial intelligence is in full swing and really taking over a lot of stuff so that humans don't have to do a lot of these different job stuff like that, you'll have products that will say organically made, stories that are organically made, movies that are organically made, no artificial intelligence, no artificial preservatives. Just like when you go to the grocery store and you see that this is an organic, this is organically grown, or this one has GMOs or whatever, you're gonna pay a little more to get the organically grown. So, trust me, don't worry about artificial intelligence, because there will be a new market, a more valuable market, that will be an organically human-only market. In other words, AI had nothing to do with this product. Humans only had stuff to do with this product, and people will pay more for the human product. It'll open up a huge market. It's just gonna be like the .com boom. It'll be the same thing when the AI goes in full swing. Trust me, it's gonna happen. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Also, a lot of other really dumb stuff that happens on this planet that humans seem to cause problems with, that cause war and stuff like that, artificial intelligence may be able to fix a lot of those problems that the humans seem to not be able to get it together. I would not worry about artificial intelligence. It's not your enemy. It's not your friend either, but it's also not your enemy. It literally just is. That's it. So that pretty much covers everything. More interstellar objects equals trouble. I hate to say it, but like I said, don't be afraid, don't be in fear. 2027 is almost here. Made a rhyme. Anyhow, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And this gives you something to think about.